Hello and welcome, folks, to another episode of Onboard with HughZ. Today, I am joined by the support for Trident Esports, Gruffdogga. Gruff, say hello.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Alrighty, so as a support player, let's dive right into this. What do you think a support player should start off with first?
Well, I'm a big fan of the Mark of the Vanguard, Hand of the Gods, just because I like to exert a lot of early pressure on the mid lane and on the enemy jungle and try and force fights. So I like to be tanky, like in those fights. You can see here, like you can see the sort of aggression. This actually goes a bit pear-shaped because Divine ult tabs halfway through and takes a tower hit.
Yep, we
So
saw
there
that
he
one.
goes. And we're like looking to aggress because we have the heavy hammer Bologna and Divine gets himself a bit caught here. I've got my chains first to try and apply some damage, but we lose the pick here. We back out and we just reset back to camps. We do a small adjustment coming up. I end up hogging the red buff instead of the attack speed, only because Divine was getting there late and we wanted him to get to lane early so he could get some dominance over Crazy Aussie. A lot of my time is as a support player, I like the Mark of the Vanguard and the hog, just basic starts, full up pots. I like watches into less aggressive lanes if like there's not going to be a whole lot of poke, but Ymir is an aggressive god, so I needed the defense.
Fair enough. Alright, so you've gone actually for health pots, for mana pots. A lot of times people buy wards and multi potions. So, what do you ever do that? Like, or what's the advantage of doing mana and health
Uh,
potions?
I prefer the four of each pot, just because like if you're going multi-pot, it doesn't. I find it doesn't do enough of either. Like it doesn't give you enough health or mana. It's just a personal thing. And the ward vision, as long as you have really good communication, you can sort of predict where people are going to be at what times.
Sure. Alright, now talk to us about early game supports, because a lot of people get caught out not realizing how squishy they are at the start, and what kind of things you need to be doing this early in the game.
Um, Early game supports can be very difficult, just because a lot of them have very low mobility, like, and you have to like most of the time you just be walking CC. Like that's support in a nutshell. You need to know the times and stuff. And it like I used to get caught out a lot in particular. And one of the things that really helped me was just like just the communication aspect. Like people telling me where gods were, like rotating for them, stuff like that. And yeah, early game supports can be really hard. Like just like you can see here, Bast Episode, and we knew they were right side. We back off here. If we'd been caught here, probably would have been a double kill. So
Sure. Alright, so who makes those kind of calls on your team?
all the calls for rotations, like because a lot of rotations will go through the mid lane. They're pretty much all made by Divine because he's got the best seat in the house, so to speak. He's just in the mid lane. You can see them go left, right, in between.
Yep, cool. Alright, so as you're just getting some aggression here, what are you thinking about potential builds, and like what are you thinking your next item's going to be?
Um, Generally, I go on if I don't have a jump or a dash on my support, and they've got slows. Like their team has slows out the eyeballs. So I was going to pick up a winged blade into a boots one, just because full winged blade plus boots one gives you 2% less movement speed. And if you take a slow, which you normally do if you get yourself in a pickle, you take a slow, you'll be able to get up to 26% movement speed, I think, which
Yep.
is faster than you could be otherwise.
Alright, so explain what's happening here, why you've rotated over to this side.
Mid camps are spawning. We're looking to fight. Fornky unfortunately misses his ult here, but we're able to put some damage on the Ymir and we pick up the kill. But yeah, it's just the 3-minute mid camp fight. We had a really good mid camp congestion team with Thor, Ares, Isis. A lot of control, a lot of damage.
Yep, cool. And now you've pulled in a couple of guys with your ulti here. So take us through what's going on right now.
I'm trying to chain both of them to lock them down so that we can get the kills. Unfortunately, they do the smart thing and they split up, so we can only really burn one of them down. So we end up burning the Poseidon down there. Bastet unfortunately walks away, but Yeah, I recognized that they didn't have beads because they hadn't backed yet, so they had no actives, so they were easy to pull. And I like when you pull, you just throw your chains out instantly because otherwise they'll just jump away. Because that cripplers are really really strong on Ares kit.
So that's a good point to lead into our next question. Why did you choose Ares this match?
Um, we really it's just a general team comp we want. We like to have a lot of frontline when we have a warrior out the solo lane. Uh, Ares does a lot of damage. He has a lot of cripple. He's does. You're gonna hear me say this a lot, but he does so much damage for a support. Like,
Yeah.
it's just obscene. What he lacks in CC, he just makes up for in just DPS.
So you talked before about the chains and how they cripple. Just run through exactly what that ability does for someone that might not know.
When you land the first, it's a chain. You try and link to an enemy player, and it starts doing damage over time. The cripple effect stops them using movement abilities such as jumps and dashes. You can still use steroids, so Artemis's 2 will still go off, but something like Bastet's jump won't, anything like that. And it also slows and it saps movement speed. And if you land the first one, you get another one up to 3 chains. So you can have up to 3 chains on a single person, or you can have up to 3 targets crippled and slowed.
Awesome. Alrighty, so while you're just kind of wandering around here at the moment, let's start with our first of our more personal questions. So, who are you / where are you from?
My name's Alex Brown. I'm from Adelaide, South Australia. I'm 20 years old. I'm studying politics and international studies at Adelaide Uni. And yeah,
Awesome.
that's about it.
Okay. So while you guys are just getting this buff, let's get another question out of the way. When and how did you first get into Smite?
One of my friends was actually on the alpha team for Smite. He got me a closed beta code as soon as it got released to closed beta. So that was 2012, mid 2012-ish. Pretty much, I was there from pretty much day one.
Awesome. All right, so mid camps are coming up again. Take us through what your team is thinking at this point.
We know we've got the Thor ult, so we can engage here. They have no beads up at this point, so I get the 2-man ult. Fornky unfortunately misses again, but it happens. We wrap up the Poseidon. Red Oxide rotates over. We just wanted to force a fight here because we have so much damage early.
All right, and Funke ends up getting a kill on Titty Sprinkles here. Deathmax is chasing. What are you trying to do in a situation like this where your teammate's very low and you're also pretty low?
At this point, we know Bastet's damage. She has high damage, but she can't really 100 to 0 you without her ult. So that's something we recognize there. She went chasing the Thor. I was able to land the first chain to cripple her and slow her, but I missed the second one. Fornky made a very good play there, actually, just walling her off so he didn't die. And she took a tower hit, and yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, so you have gone into that winged blade now, and that gives you health cooldown reduction, attack speed, movement speed, and also that passive you talked about before. Okay, while you're wandering back to lane again, let's go to our next question. How did you work out that the support role was for you?
Well, me, the guy I got the code off was my best mate in real life. And we just used to duo lane together all the time, back when in the 2-1-2 meta. And we just sort of worked out that I was more suited to the support role and he was more suited to carries, just because we played a lot of games together before this. Titan Quest was a big one, ARPGs, stuff like that, Torchlight. And yeah, I always ended up being the face tanking bruiser style thing, and he just sat in the back and let me do all the hard work.
Alrighty, so take us through what's going on right now.
We've caught them out of the mid camps. We can see they're sort of caught out. And we just tried to force the engagement there. We had them outnumbered. I rotated over. Fornky had his ult. That was a call from Divine, actually. So that's another one there. and it's really just a lot of opportunistic plays at this point. Like we're just finding them in the jungle when we have more numbers around, and that's one of the like good things Thor brings. You're never really safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so with rotations, you said before Divine makes a lot of calls. It's one of the things that's challenging for a new support player, so someone that's, either their first or one of their first times at support. Is it purely based on other people's calls that you make rotations, or do you ever make that decision yourself?
I make that decision a lot myself. Divine calls out enemy rotations a lot, and I call out the counter rotations. Like I have to pretty much be staring at my mini map, so my eyes are only ever where I'm going about 20% of the time. So yeah, but like I tend to call out a lot of those, and it's hard to learn though. Like when you first get into it, just knowing where and when you're expected to be places, and like what you can do is the hardest one. Like what your limitations are as a support.
All right, cool. So do you have any suggestions on ways people can learn how to do to their like limitations and when to rotate and things like that?
Just like kit timers, cooldowns, like before you play a god, read up on what each ability does, like and what your key like linking ability is. Like in most kits you have one ability which sort of brings it all together. Like in areas I like to think it's the cripple. Like if you can land all three chains on a regular basis, you'll do so much damage and you'll get so far. Like you'll have such an impact on the game. So just learning the kits, that's the limitations.
Cool. All right, so you've gone for some actives now. You've completed your HughZ and you've got level 1 Blink. So it looks like you guys are about to start something here. So I'll just wait for that to be over. Actually, yeah, take us through what you're doing right now.
Well, I recognise that they've only got like a beads 1 on Bastet, and we're able to pick up a Poseidon here. So like we burn a beads, we pick up a pick. A lot of the time, as Ares, you're basically a beads check.
Yeah.
So everything you're doing is just like taking their beads away or checking if they have beads, and if they don't have beads up or they're old, like their CC moon old, they'll just end up dead. So that's when you're looking to engage. Like every 90 seconds, you should be looking to take someone's beads or kill someone.
Alrighty, cool. Okay, so the thing I was going to say before was I noticed that you completed your Winged Blade rather than completing your HughZ. A lot of people sacrifice items for completing that first active as a support player, especially for securing objectives and the like. Why did you finish off the Winged Blade rather than HughZ?
Well, we were never planning to do the sort of tight objectives. Like we wanted like the free, like HughZ is really important on a support early, but you want it for tight objectives when you feel like you've got the control to squeeze it, but you just need that HughZ to secure. They had really good objective control with their Ymir, Artemis, Bastet, Poseidon, so we were never really looking to sort of like push a tight objective, so to speak. If we were going to take an objective, it's because we would have killed their entire team, and for that, I'd prefer to have the Wind Blade just for extra speed, cooldowns, health, so I can fight.
All right, cool. Now you've started Boots, so why have you gone another movement speed item after going Winged Blade?
Well, it's just the maths. Like, if you pick, I won't finish Boots until a lot further into the game. I'm only buying Boots 1 for the, I think it's 6% movement speed, because the movement speed off Wingblade and Boots 1 gives you 16%, and then when you get in trouble, it speeds you right up. And it's just because I'm such a low mobility Guardian.
All right, cool. So we see mid camps come up again. Talk us through this engagement.
I'm just looking to ult more people. That's basically this entire thing. We didn't catch out the Artemis rotation there. We didn't see it coming, so we ended up losing Divine there early. I'm just here trying to bait them off my team. At this point, as long as they're on me, we're fine. And we had Tompo there who just starts two-hitting people because Bellona's a balanced and fair god.
Yep, we saw the strength of Bellona just there. All right, so while you are away from us in your respawn timer, let's take a look at some more of our questions. So, how did you guys become Trident Esports?
Originally, I set up a team in October-ish when the Oz servers first came out to customs, and it was me, Redoxide, Centage, and then a couple of other teams, like a couple other players. Temple was there for a bit, and Liquid Renegade, and that was the initial 5 players on the team. And we went through a few roster changes, players left for certain reasons, and eventually we settled on, I think when we got picked up by Trident, our roster was Bloodleech, Pickle, Divine, me, and Red. So, and we were a really high performance sort of profile team. Like, we had a lot of good results. Like, we were really strong. We were winning a lot of scrims against top teams. Like, I think at one point the only team we'd lost to in about a 2-month period was Insight, currently Avant.
Yep.
So we reached out to them and sort of talked about sponsorship, and they were impressed with us. So yeah.
Cool. All right, let's take a look at this engagement here. Divine goes down to Crazy Aussie, and you're all just fighting around the Gold Fury. What happened there?
Divine got caught out. He went to ward on his own, which was not the right idea. He went to counter ward on his own and got caught out. I got caught trying to save him, and it just sort of snowballed. And that's one of the big things about competitive play. I mean, things can just snowball so easily. One person's mistake can throw an objective, like just what just happened.
Yep. So we can see the Gold Fury going down here. One thing we saw you doing prior to and sort of just right before that engagement happened was getting a lot of ward coverage down on the map. How important are wards, and how do you know where to ward and when to ward?
How important are words? I've currently got a little bracelet on that says "Wards save lives." So it's incredibly important. If you control the vision on the game, you know where they are, and they won't. And if you can get more sentries out of them, they won't know where you are. And that is such a strength. It allows you to exert so much pressure over the game. And yeah, the second part of that question was, where do you like to ward? Was it?
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of the time, ganking routes, like defensive wards, ganking routes where the jungle is likely to come from, which differs from jungle to jungle. So with a Bastet, we're warding top and bottom generally. Against a Thor, we'd be warding objectives because Thors like to ult from Gold Fury, Fire Giant, and away from the lane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the most important wards are the 4 around mid lane. I like to call them the 4 corners or whatever, and you can see just the 4 ways into mid lane. If you can control the warding there with sentries and stuff, you can control the mid lane and therefore pressure. So warding just brings so much pressure and safety to a game. It's just, you'd be a fool not to do it.
And who's responsible for warding those routes?
Top mid lane is generally done by a jungler. Bottom mid lane is done by the mid laner himself. And then the safe routes on duo side, the ganking routes are done by me.
Cool.
And that's just a personal thing, so that Redoxide can finish his items sooner and get around to hyper carrying me.
All right. So we also mentioned at the start that you didn't buy wards in your first sort of buy through. When do you start buying wards?
I buy them first back. I tend to not like buying them first round because a lot of the rotations pre 3 minutes, you'll see them all the time. It'll be the same few rotations and that sort of thing. So it's just, yeah.
All right, cool. So we can see another sort of mini engagement happening here around the mid camps / Gold Fury. What's sort of your team's strategy at this point, and how do you figure into that?
Our strat here, we're just looking to fight. I mean, we had the lead. I think we still have an XP. Not really, but we have a better early mid game than them with Isis, Ares, and Thor. So we're still looking to fight because a lot of their damage is out of Artemis and Cronus, which are late game. So we're just looking to force stuff. But they're playing very smart at this point and playing very defensive.
Alrighty, cool. So let's take a look at some of the items you're going for now. You've gone here, the Iron Mail. What are you looking to build that into?
Sovereignty. It's just the standard item. It's core. It's also incredibly good on Ares because it gives him 30 magical power because of his passive.
All right. So what else does Sovereignty do? For those that may not know.
It gives you a ton of physical protection. I think it gives you 60 or 70 physical protection, and it provides 20 magical protection for your allies.
Cool. All right. So take us through this team fight that's going on now. So we could see that there was a crack in there. So take us through what you guys are thinking at this point.
We're trying to lock down targets. Here we're like, we want to burn the Poseidon. Like, we're just prioritizing targets, and they make a great counter engage. And yeah.
All right, cool. So yeah, most of your team goes down. You're barely alive yourself. For Dockside, looks like he wants to continue putting some pressure on as well. All right, so when you're in a situation kind of like that, when you realize you're losing a team fight, you know, how do you kind of make the decision about who stays on the sinking ship and who goes?
It's just who can help with the next fight. Like, at that point, Gold Fury was coming up. It's like, I have a HughZ and Tompo doesn't, and so I would have had the ability to contest.
All right, cool. Well answered. All right, next question. Who is your best mate on the team?
Oh, that's a tough decision. It's either Divine or Red. Like, just because I've been playing with Red for almost 6 months now. Like, we have such great synergy in lane and in team fights. You know, it's just fantastic. And Divine, I just sit there and duo queue League with all day.
Cool.
He links me terrible videos. He's a terrible human.
All right, so as a support, how much do you look at your opposition team's builds?
All the time. I'll be looking for, depending on what god I'm playing, I'll be looking for Magi's, speeds, anything like that. Just anything which will impact me and like targeting. So if somebody's building very defensive, like say the Poseidon's got a Warlock Sash, like he does in this, he doesn't in this game actually. The Poseidon has like a Warlock Sash. You're going to prioritize him less than say the Cronus with a Book of Thoth and stuff like that. And when you're calling shots and targets and stuff, it just helps.
Cool. All right, so you went down there, and now the rest of your team's fighting here at the Gold Fury. A lot of people, you know, when they die, they're not really quite sure what to do. What do you do when you're sort of sitting back and watching everything that's going on?
The first thing I do is I obviously buy my items, and then I try and calculate how much gold I'm going to have left over, how long I'll have to wait for, like if I'm waiting for the next tier of an item, and how soon I need to get out of well. Like here, this was going to be a tight Gold Fury. I get a little bit annoyed when I miss this by not much, but instead I go and murder myself on the Cronus.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, we could see you're gonna probably go down here. In fact, you kind of spoiled it and said you would, but that's fine. I guess it's not really a spoiler anyway. So, you know, now that they've taken the Gold Fury, Golden XP is slightly in their favor. What are you guys thinking at this point?
We trust our team fight. Like, if we at this stage, a lot of the problems are from people getting caught out, myself getting caught out before, Divine got caught out before that, and that's how they're getting back into this game. So we trust our team fight because we trust ourselves. Like we like to think we have a better organized team fight here, and a more concise calling and stuff like that. But it just required us not going down beforehand, so it's still positive.
Cool. All right, while you're heading back to lane, let's get on to our next question. How do you guys see yourselves going in this new invitational ladder or in the Pro League if you guys make it to that?
Well, we expect to make the Pro League. If we didn't make the Pro League, we'd be really disappointed in ourselves.
Yeah, that's the right answer.
We expect to do well. top two for sure. That's our expectation, and our objective is obviously to win it.
Good. That's what we like to hear. You know, commitment and high expectations. Because if you don't have high expectations for yourselves, you won't perform as well. So good things. If any of you out there are Trident fans, good stuff to hear from the support. And are you the captain of Trident as well?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So from the captain of Trident himself, he's going top 2 for sure, guys. So you heard it here first. Alrighty. So what are you thinking at this point in the match?
At this point in the match, we're looking for picks before we fight. We know that the Artemis beads and alter down because Funky forced them out just when he rotated. So I'm looking for a rotation to get over there because she has no way to really defend herself. And that, we're sort of constructing a pick here. Redoxide's giving her the lane pressure, and I'm sort of wandering over there now.
Sure. Alrighty, so what does pick mean? For people that don't know, it's a bit more of a technical term.
It's a free kill, a kill away from a team fight. You get team here. This is a pick. We get this for pretty much free. We don't lose anyone. There's no real team fight. We just blow 2 ults, kill a person. We're now 4v5 for the next 40 seconds. Well, a minute now.
Yeah, some excellent sniping there from Redoxide, actually on the Rama ultimate, I should say.
He's a wizard. He is the best mechanics I've seen.
Awesome. Alrighty, so we can see you've got the sovereignty now. You've finished off your blink, so you'll be teleporting in there very often. What are you looking to build into next? Are you looking to finish off the boots or go something else?
I'm looking for a heartwood.
Alright, so we'll talk about that after this team fight. Explain what's going on right now.
Funky's just counter-engaged on people. They've turned on me for some God knows why. They turn off Divine and Funky in order to try and attack me, so I just slowly walk away because I'm tanky.
Alrighty, so in situations like that where, your teammates are getting initiated on, what kind of things do you need to do to counter-initiate and to help your teammates out?
In that scenario, I'm just looking to get up in their faces. If a lot of the time you can't control them with Ares, one of his downfalls is he doesn't have a lot of CC, so he can't really peel that effectively. So you really have to stick yourself right in that front line. You have to make sure they know you're there. You have to do damage. You have to make noise. Pop your 2, throw your flames around, try and chain people, try and sort of drag their attention to you like a dummy or something like that. But yeah, we have a good counter-initiate comp with Thor, so we're looking for Thor to counter-initiate. He did, but then they counter-initiated. So yeah, I was making noise. That's basically what that was.
Yeah, cool. All right, so you've got some more mid camps coming up here. Are you guys looking to fight at this stage, or are you been a little more careful now?
They're Artemis and Cronus are approaching late game. We really have to respect that. Well, they're in late game now. So they're doing a ton of damage. We're respecting what they can offer the team fights. So we're sort of letting them have a little bit of pressure here. This is one of the big moments. We sort of overcommit to right hand side, so they start fire, I believe. Yeah. So they're starting fire. Tompo spots it out. We sort of thought they might. So we sort of have to go in and, like I said before, make some noise.
Yeah, some noise is definitely being made in this team fight. Tompo going off there, same with Fonkades. Just Deathmax and Titty Sprinkles left. Redoxide picks up a kill, Titty Sprinkles picks up a kill as well. Titty's getting very low. Gruff, you're just chaining him, and that, it looks like, is what's going to kill him in the end just because he couldn't get away. And now you guys start Fire Giant, so, those counter initiates. Oh, did they? Yes, they did. Yeah. They did take up Fire Giant. You ended up
we were willing to give that to them for a complete deicide and pressure.
Yeah, so those kind of counter initiates onto big objectives like that. Is there any kind of technique other than, as you said before, just getting up in their face for doing those? Anything you need or want before you do those?
It's really just a case of being together as a team, like making sure that everything you do, you're sort of like you're doing as a team. Like Tompo went in there, I blinked in, Forky went in. We all just had to trust that we had each other's back. So if you're going to initiate, it's nice to know that your team's there. That's the big one.
Alright, and now it looks like you guys are getting a little bit of aggression, and you actually go down there, so what's happening now? It looks like they're really coming at you strong. So it almost seems like you stayed and overcommitted to that tower a little bit.
Yeah, that was a big overcommittal by us. We thought we had more damage than we did, so we could take it down. We didn't really anticipate the Emir blink, so yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like they're starting the Gold Fury now. Not sure if they take it or not. Let's take a look. Funky and Diviner there. You guys actually managed to steal that. I believe that was a hug from Funky, but he's going to pay for it now, and they're just going to clean that one up for Dockside and Divine running away. Go, Divine, go. Oh, she goes down. Or he goes down, but it's Isis. For Dockside, just going to hide under tower. Alright, so let's get back to yourself now. You've got Heartwood Amulet. Explain what Heartwood Amulet does and why you picked it up.
It is just the reverse of sovereignty. It gives you magical protection, health, and then gives your allies physical protection, gives you MP5. Like, if you look at the two items sit next to each other, they are basically just completely inverted items in terms of defenses. So
they're really good kind of team items.
Yeah, and they're a really good combination. They make you tanky and they help your team be tanky.
Alright, cool. So you pick up a XP camp there. Let's get on to our next question. Sorry. Let me rephrase that so it sounds even more epic. Is Trident Esports going to be the organization and the team that represents Oceania at the Smite World Championships next year?
Yes.
There we go. Yeah, good. Once again, correct answer. Heard it here first, folks. Exclusive Trident going to SWC guaranteed. All right, so yeah, that kind of confidence is a really good thing to have. Another big engagement coming over here on the right-hand side. Let us know what's going on, what your team's thinking at this point.
Yeah. We thought was a free pick on Artemis, and so we're just trying to clean up now. I spent a lot of time there trying to body block for Rama, so that he didn't get blown up.
How is he alive?
Well, a lot of CC and a lot of damage, and Emir doesn't do any at all.
Yeah.
It's just a fun support. Doesn't do any damage, just freezes people.
Yeah. Alright, so the rest of you are all grouped over here in left lane now, what would be your right. A lot of times people like to split push, and sort of the reverse of that is what you guys are doing now, where you're all going together. How do you make the decision on whether to split push or just go as a team?
It's just the state of the game. If you've got the pick, it's better to group up. Like, just stress your numerical advantage. Try and force a 5v5 team fight as such. We weren't able to get it there, but I was able to pop a couple of beads. So it wasn't a complete failure.
Yeah, cool. Alright, if we actually take a look at your stats now, it's pretty incredible. You got 6 kills yourself, only compared to 5 deaths, and 15 assists. Your team has got 25 kills, so you've been involved in, let me do some maths quickly, 3/5 of your total team's kills, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. This game, a lot of the pressure that came out was just from myself. I was just trying to force stuff at mid camps, and that's where all the pressure came out from, and that's where we got a lot of our kills. And cool. Forky was sort of going around popping beads and stuff, and I was able to clean up from that.
Alright, so your next item that you started is a Magi's Cloak, going into a Magi's Blessing. What made you decide to get that?
Just so they can't peel me off objectives. I think that was the big one. If they can't peel me off objectives, I can secure them easier with a hog, because they're bashed out how to hog 3 at this point. Their Emir has a lot of CC. They have a Cronus, so they're able to get us off objectives pretty easily.
Sure. Alright, now take us through this fight.
We sort of spotted out the Poseidon, and we were able to put some damage on him, take his beads and Aegis, and yeah, we're looking to get a pick off someone. Yeah, that's the big one.
All right, and now that fight was kind of happening on either side of you. How do you kind of A, know what's going on either side of you, and B, make the decision to commit to one side or the other?
Well, you just look for like who you need to defend and who can defend themselves. Like at that point, I committed to defending Redoxide and Divine because they're the squishy targets. Thor has a Magi's, and Bellona is a broken god who needs to be balanced, so she doesn't really need bailing out.
Cool. Alright, so back to the Magi's now. Explain what Magi's Blessing does for some of our newer viewers.
It gives you a little bit of health, a little bit of protections, a little bit of mana, but its big one is it takes a singular hard hitter CC and provides you with a second of crowd control immunity. So that's just like an extra beads where you don't have to worry that you're going to mess it up with your mechanics.
Cool. Awesome. Alright, so another fight around Fire Giant here, and you guys pick it up. Deathmax trying to steal it, gets a little bit caught out. Redoxide picks up another kill, and now you all back. Alright, so this is another situation I'd like to take a little bit of a look at. A lot of times teams will immediately press their advantage off Fire Giant, take a tower, perhaps a Phoenix or two along the way. What made you guys decide to all back and then continue pressuring rather than pressure it immediately?
We all just had a lot of gold. We had a lot of gold. We had a lot of like things to spend it on. We weren't particularly healthy. We didn't all have our ults up, so we just decided that we were just gonna reset. We're gonna get healthy, and then we'd force our advantage because they can't at this point. Like we're a team that's ahead with Fire Giant. Like as long as we play it safe, they can't do anything against us. We can just take the game away from them.
Cool. Alright, another thing I'd like to talk about is you mentioned that Artemis and Cronus really came online in the late game doing a lot of damage, and you had to respect that. How, once you reach that late game stage and they are online doing a lot of that damage, how do you then sort of counteract that? How do you...
It was just the Bellona. Yeah. It's 100% the Bellona. Like Artemis and Cronus, a lot of their damage comes from their auto attacks. That second circle in Cronus's 2 gives him like a ridiculous amount of auto attack power, and so Bellona just with her Scourge just makes them useless. So we're just segmenting the fights. We're having Bellona on the auto attack hyper carries and us fighting everyone else.
Sure. So I guess your main point here is pick Bellona.
Oh, she's just not a fair god.
Alright, cool. So you pick up one Phoenix here, you pick up another one, not even bothering to wait for a minion wave. This one all looks like it's almost fairly done and dusted. Some crazy Aussie and Deathmax, both very low. Redoxide just being a bit of a bully, hitting him a couple times with his ulti.
Inflating his damage sets as only he can.
Yep. Alright, there goes the final Phoenix. It looks like you guys are about to start the Titan. You're just zoning out the last two members of Illustrious 5 that are up. The Titan is very low. Redoxide picks up a double kill out of nothing, it looks like. There goes Tusky. Ooh, by Redoxide. There's an ulti. This team fight's just going to play out. Looks like you guys are going to pick up the Titan here, and you do. GG, that one going the way of you guys from Trident over the Illustrious 5. Very well done. If we take a look at some of the final stats of you guys, you were 7-5 and 21. Redoxide had 11 kills. Divine had 6. Fonke had 5. Tombo had 7. So everyone kind of doing their part there.
Yeah, it was just a really good team game. Like nobody sort of went off and started hyper carrying us. Redoxide obviously did 35k damage, but you know everyone was present at the team fights. It's just late game ADCs just doing work.
Yep, cool. All right, so now that that's all done and dusted, let's finish up with our last couple of questions here. So, what do you want to see in the next patch? I mean, the details have already been released. Our Putsch is going to be the next god. A couple of buffs and nerfs to various gods. What do you like or dislike about that?
What I like is the buff to Kumba. Hopefully it makes him a little bit more viable, because at the moment the sort of support meta's a little bit stale. Like Athena, Sylvanas, band pick every game, and then it's any combination of Ares, Geb, and Ymir just sort of walks around. So you're only getting to play the same 5 gods.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay, next question. What role needs a new god? So I believe our Putsch is going to be a mage. What do you think, other than that, might need a new god next?
Um, I'd love to see another sort of top tier team fight assassin, or another support. Honestly, just to give more variation, because that's where all the picks and bans are at the moment. Like the priority picks and bans, they're all between the assassins and the supports. So it'd just be nice to throw another one in the mix there.
Cool. All right. Who is your favorite god? Doesn't need to be a support. It can be any role. But who is your favorite?
Oh, Odin.
Odin?
Odin's my boy.
How come?
I learnt the game off him basically. When I started playing, I wasn't particularly good, and I just ended up playing Odin every game. So I have 300 wins and 240 losses as Odin. So like 500 games. I just can't. I just can't not like him.
Awesome. All right. If you couldn't play support, or say, God forbid, Trident replaces you as support, what would the role you'd next most like to play after support?
Oh, I like to ADC. It's just fun. You just like you just do so much. You just have such an impact on the game. You do so much work, and I mean, the play style's pretty, pretty. I wouldn't say basic, but you sort of just farm up and then do a ton of damage late game. I mean, it's obviously not that simple, but it'd be nice to do something late game apart from take things in the face.
All right, and last question. This one is a bit of a tricky one. What is your favorite memory in Smite? Now, it doesn't need to be when you've been with Trident. It can be any time. You know, you might have got a pentakill or something like that, or stolen an objective really well. Just anything like that. When you think of Smite? What's the memory that stands out the most?
When I was a sub player on Full Moon for a bit, and we played the tournament. I didn't play that game, but I was watching it on the Smite game channel, and it was against another mid-range team, and our captain solo laner bought a protected recall on Old Noir, and he sort of split pushed up the lane, took the Phoenix, and then they sort of all turned up, and he protected recalled out, and it was just like it's protected recall is just a terrible item, and it was the worst play, but it just sort of worked and put the other team on tilt and it won us the game. It was just so it's disgusting. I couldn't handle it.
All right, thank you very much for that. So, thank you very much for Gruffdogga for joining me for this episode of Onboard. We were very pleased to have you.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, all right, cool. So, yeah, that does it for another episode of Onboard. My name is HughZ, and we'll catch you next time.